Maud, the CEO at the GOWhee App. So I'm very excited about this interview today. I actually enlisted someone that has been a fan for years and that moved near Disney World. So she was the perfect person to come and chat with us about that. Her name is Megan. She owns the handle at Magical Travel Mama on Instagram, and she agreed to come in and share her secrets, tips, and favorite things when you go to Disney World.
Again, I'm a mom of two and I'm married, and we moved to Orlando last year from Michigan. My husband and I grew up in Michigan, and he got the opportunity to come down here and work, so we took it because it was a good spot to live in Orlando. I grew up going to all the Disney parks, and I never in my wildest dreams would believe that I would live with the parks in my backyard. And now we do.
So, do you go that often to Disney, living so close, or is the kind of stuff like you're just, going as much as anybody else would?
Oh, we go pretty often. We go maybe like anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week, just depending on what's going on. It's so close, it's not like we have to spend the entire day there. Sometimes we go for 2-3 hours, maybe 5 hours max right now.
Okay. So the biggest question I got from the viewers were, how much planning do you usually recommend to go to this kind of trip?
It depends. If this Disney trip is going to be the only Disney trip that you ever take or you ever take your kids on, you really want to spend a lot of time planning to maximize your time. So I would say about 6 months, 6 to 7 months out. If you're going to go every year, a couple times a year, I don't think you need that much time. But the most important thing is the dining reservations can be made 6 months in advance. And a lot of the big ones, the really fun ones, get booked up really quickly. So that's why you would need 6 months.
So the second question would be, how many days do you usually recommend to spend in Disney to really, enjoy the park?
Well, that also relates to how many times you're going to want to go. But say, for example, this is going to be your big trip, the only trip you take in 10, 12 years. I would say 5 full days in Florida, but only 3 or 4 days in the parks. The biggest mistake that people make is they go 5 days in a row, 6 days in a row, is you burn yourself out. You're walking so much. You absolutely need one entire full day to sleep in, go to the hotel, enjoy the pool, and just relax, or you're going to burn yourself out and it's going to be miserable. It won't be a fun time.
That brings me to my third question, which is, do you have any tips for us to organize the day and maximize it? Like maybe we should go at the specific time of the year, or maybe go in the morning versus the evening. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's tricky to answer what time of year to go because honestly, it's always really, really packed, especially around the holidays. The month of December was pretty miserable. There were tons and tons of people here. It's one of the most popular times to go, but also is a really nice time to go because the Christmas decorations are all up. The slowest time of year is probably summer, but it's so hot. I wouldn't recommend if that's going to be your only trip coming in the summer. Right now in February, it's actually pretty slow. This is supposedly a good time to go. You just want to check the calendar, especially if you're coming from outside of the States. You want to check the calendar for the school breaks that are going on. Spring break, winter break are big times to go for families. So if you want to go in kind of a slower time, I would avoid those times. As for what time to get to the parks and how to spend your whole day, you have to get there an hour early before the park opens. It's just a must, or you will be waiting in really long lines. You'll miss a lot of things. The park hours vary every day, but generally Magic Kingdom opens around 9. So for example, you'd want to get there at 8. And that way you can jump in line and get in some of the lines much faster. And plus I always do like a little opening show, and it's really cute, and it's something unique to enjoy.
So if we organize ourselves right, even though we do that, we could still have to make choices depending on the attraction, right? So what are the 3 must do when you go there?
That's a really good question because there's 4 parks, and I'd say there's must-dos at every park, and some of them actually aren't even rides. They're more like attractions or parades or shows. For example, at Animal Kingdom, the biggest ride, and probably the biggest ride in the park, all of the parks, is the Avatar Flight of Passage ride. It is the most amazing ride I have ever been on, but the line is 2 or 3 hours long to ride it. So if you get a fast pass in advance, if you get to Animal Kingdom an hour or two ahead of time, you can get in line and you should be able to ride it. That's definitely something that I would not miss at Animal Kingdom. The other thing at Animal Kingdom would be the safari. It's a real safari. It's on Disney's conservation land. You can see all kinds of animals from all over Africa, and it really feels like you are experiencing it real, because it's real animals, a real safari. It feels like you're really in Africa. And also in Animal Kingdom, the shows, the Finding Nemo show and the Lion King show, are 2 shows that I would not miss. They're Broadway style. The performers are Broadway worthy performers. They're amazing shows and they're really popular. So get there a couple 15-20 minutes early to get in line to get a spot.
So talking about the parks, is there what is the difference? Because I'm always super confused about what parks to go to if I had to make choices about the parks itself.
Well, there are 4 parks, and then actually there's 2 water parks on top of the 4 parks, so that's a totally different ball game. There's Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and then Animal Kingdom. And Animal Kingdom is the newest one that's 20 years old, but the other 3 are the ones that are the classics and have been around forever. Magic Kingdom is the classic one with the castle, kind of like Disneyland Paris or Disneyland in California. It has all the like Fantasyland rides. It has a beautiful 1 or 2 beautiful parades every day, and then it has a light show at the end projected onto the castle. That's the classic one. I definitely would go. If you're going to make a trip, you need at least 1 day there to experience it. Then there's Hollywood Studios, which actually used to be called MGM Studios up until like 15 years ago. They changed the name, and it's supposed to be like a Hollywood old glamour style. And it has 2 really big rides that have really long waits, but they're both really amazing and worth it. The third is Epcot, which is the one with the big golf ball. They have an entire area where you walk through countries. There's like 12 or 13 countries, and it's like a mile-long radius in a circle, and each country is staffed by people from that country. There's restaurants, stores, there's a France pavilion that we love. I talked a lot about Animal Kingdom. That's my favorite part. I love the shows, love the animals. The food there is really good too. They have food that's more like African inspired, Indian inspired, South Asian, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So it does sound like you need about a week there to actually see them all. So you just mentioned briefly the abroad versions of the park. So tell us, you've seen a few of them. How do they compare?
Disneyland in California is the smaller one. That's the one that's original. That's the first park. I've been there twice. Really like it. It's very cute. It's a lot more chill than Disney World. You can probably see that park in 2 or 3 days max. It's just smaller, different vibe than the one in Disney World. The international one that we went to was the Disneyland Paris one, which you mentioned. We went last year and we loved it. And we were told, as Americans, as people who've been to Disney World, don't have any expectations. We loved it. We thought it was so charming, so cute. The shows were still just as good. They were a little more unique, I think. It was so fun to see Mickey speak in French. I thought that was the cutest thing. There's 2 parks in Paris. One is called Disney Studios, and then there's Magic Kingdom. And the show at Disney Studios was amazing. There's 3 Asian parks that we haven't been to yet. One in Tokyo, one in Hong Kong, and one in Shanghai. And Shanghai is supposed to be amazing. It opened in 2016. It has the biggest castle. I guess it's really packed. Tokyo is supposed to be great too. And then Hong Kong is supposed to be nice, but just it's not as popular, I don't think.
So when you stay there for a week, obviously you need accommodations. Have you
Yeah.
tried a few of them around the park?
Yeah, I have. Even
Okay.
living here, we've stayed at two different places since we've been here. But the most important thing to keep in mind is there's different tiers, different levels of parks. I mean, of hotels to stay at.
Okay.
The most luxurious ones are going to be the ones that are closest to Magic Kingdom, like a little more proximity to walk or just get there much quicker. But staying on property is something that I really recommend. We stayed at the boardwalk, which we stayed there this past fall. And if you just look on the website, it'll pop up really quickly. It's like a middle ground hotel, but it has walking distance to two of the parks, which is nice because something I didn't mention, but when you stay in Disney parks, they bus you into all the parks. And the bus system is really complicated and really good, but it can be slow. So it's nice to be able to wake up and go and walk to the parks.
So where do you recommend to grab a bite overall? And then what is your favorite restaurant across all the parks?
Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. Like, if you want me to give you like a certain park, my favorite restaurant in Animal Kingdom is um, Yak and Yeti, YAK and YETI. You can make reservations there 6 months in advance, but I've also gotten reservations the day before. It just depends on how busy the park is going to be. But it's all Asian inspired food and it's really good. It's probably my favorite restaurant overall. There's just like with hotels, there's all kinds of restaurants and levels of dining experience. You can walk up to a cart and grab a pretzel or popcorn, or you can sit down at a 6-course fancy meal at Cinderella's castle. It all depends on how much you want to spend and what you want to eat. In the French Pavilion, there's two different French restaurants, and they're the one that I would recommend is not the luxurious one, but Chef de France is in that pavilion, and it is something that I would recommend.
So, time to give us the number one secret thing about going to Disney that you've discovered all these years.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't say it's secret, but the number one piece of advice I would give for people planning their trips is to get a Disney planner. I have one linked in my bio that people can go to. They're free to use. They don't take any commission. Disney pays them because they reckon so much business, but they help you so much plan your trip. They can make reservations for you, like I mentioned, the 6 months in advance. They can help you with fast passes, which is not something we talked about, but it's a way for you to ride the rides quicker. It's included in your ticket. There's no extra fee. They just require a $200 deposit, and then you pay the rest of your balance a month before your trip. But they can answer all kinds of questions, and they love to do what they do because they love Disney too. Another tip that I would give about the parks, especially for moms or pregnant moms, in each of the parks there's what's called a baby care center. It's usually located towards the front of the park. They're kind of like a quiet room tucked away. You can nurse or you can feed. They sell baby products. Especially during the summer, I like to go in there even with my toddler and just like get him out of the heat. But it's quiet. It's just a good way to rest, especially if you've got really, really little babies. It's something they don't make it a secret, but they just don't advertise it very much. But they're in each of the parks. The other thing that I would say is do not ever buy water in the parks. They will give you free water wherever you are. They sell water,
right? And when you say wherever, it's at the restaurants part, or
the restaurants, like the more casual restaurants, the walk-up restaurants that would have soda streams. They'll give you free ice water. And you can also bring your own food and drinks in. So, for example, if we're running out of water by the end of the day, that's what we'll do. But don't ever buy any water there. You'll just waste your money.
I can imagine. All right, so those are awesome tips, actually. One last little question I had, and that's kind of like a personal one, I think.
Yeah.
So do you have any recommendation regarding the safety measures? Because, it's a crowded place, kids tend to be everywhere. Like, how do you stay focused where you can keep your kids, kind of under your wings, but also let them have fun? Or is there any specificness in those park things that they put in place to make it easy for us?
That's a really good question. I definitely feel really safe in the parks, even though there's tons and tons of people. They actually have everybody go through a bag check before you enter.
Okay.
And most people, I haven't figured out the system, but usually you're scanned through with a metal detector.
Okay.
And they do a good job of catching things that shouldn't be in the park. And there's also, I know this not from experience, but from what I just know through the grapevine, is they have plainclothes undercover agents throughout the park too.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, keep them in the stroller. Contained, I like backpack leashes, which are controversial. Sometimes people don't like them, but it keeps your kids safe.
You have to do what you have to do to kind of have fun, like for everybody to have fun. Because if you have to scream after your child, "Come here!" every 5 minutes.
And just talk to your kids, the older kids, say, go up. They call everybody who works in the park is called a cast member. Tell your kids, go up to a cast member, somebody who has a name tag on, say, I'm lost, just like you would do anywhere else. And they do a really good job of, I've never had any of my kids go lost yet, knock on wood, but they do a good job of keeping people safe in the park. I always feel safe. The crowd control is really excellent. There's so many people there, but you would be amazed at how quickly you can move through the parks, even with thousands and thousands of people being there.
That's awesome to know. Okay. Well, I mean, you really helped me out figuring how to organize this trip.
Remember, like, you're not going to be able to see everything. You're not going to be able to do everything. That's just not possible. So go and do as much as you can and enjoy yourself. And keep in mind, it is expensive. Don't be shocked when you get there that it's expensive. It is what it is. And it's worth it. The quality of the parks, the service, how clean it is, how safe it is, makes it all worth it, I think.
So how much do you spend like in one day when you go there typically inside the park? Not talking about stuff.
Well, for us, we bring food, we bring snacks.
Okay.
So we're just buying things. I don't buy souvenirs for my kids. They know just to look, and that's for other people to buy. But a nice meal could set you back over $100 for a family of 4.
Okay, so so that's some serious planning about that too.
For sure.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for all this insight. I think it's gonna help a lot of people to figure things out. I know it helped me to figure things out about Disney, so I'm so happy you did that. So I'm excited maybe for future updates, or when you go see those parks in Asia to give us a little rundown. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
And then I hope you guys, are you gonna go to Disney today?
I think so.
Great. Awesome. All right. Well, have fun, and I hope you and the kiddos have a great time there today. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more interview about how you can travel the world with kids coming up.